Yeah.
Now 14. All right, Mr. Chairman, we're ready to rip.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Let's call our meeting for March 14th to order. Jean, can you verify that we have a quorum?
We have a quorum.
Fantastic. So we have a lengthy agenda and a lot to do that could be followed by a little bit of a lengthy executive session. So if we have presenters today, I just want to give you a fair warning that you got to be held on cue and think about the time allotted. If you think that you have 10 minutes there, you probably should be making it 5 to 7 to give the board members sufficient time to ask a question or two. So without further ado, let's move on with Rob and his executive director's report.
All right, thank you. And again, I submitted the executive director activity log as part of the package. Without to belabor the point, you have that in your hand to review. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me at any time during the meeting, after the meeting, at any time in between the meetings. One of the sections I'll just point out is the MSW, Municipal Solid Waste section. And just an update there, I've been meeting with staff and specifically Catherine Faraci and Gene Speck. We toured the Torrington transfer facility in between the last meeting. It was a very good tour. We met with Tom, forgot his last name, with Mira, and got a lot of good information on that tour. And we've continued to meet with Mark Daly and have discussions. And we also submitted our letter of intent on the Torrington transfer station as directed at the last meeting, along with requests for environmental studies or environmental reports and suggestions on any legal counsels that we can look into for the work that would be associated with that. So we've continued all of that work and moving forward and trying to keep that ball moving in that direction. The other topic I wanted to bring up is I wanted to see if there was any interest level with the board for an HR human resources circuit rider in the region. I know that municipalities have different levels of service. Some may have HR on staff, maybe a consultant, maybe you don't have anything. I know that I've had some feedback from some towns that they're looking for some assistance in that area. We at NHCOG could certainly use some assistance. We have through Paychecks LLC we use for our payroll. So we are definitely looking at that. It's something that we
Rob,
may look at.
if I could interrupt you, what is that beeping?
What you're hearing? Yeah, those are people coming in and out of the meeting. I didn't know you guys could do that.
All right. Can we silence that so that the people that are online remotely can have an accurate ability to hear what you're saying?
Thanks for that feedback. We actually turned it on recently because we were having problems hearing people coming in or seeing people come into the meeting. But all right, good to hear. Anyways, so if people have interest in HR services, we could potentially provide some economies of scale, provide a circuit rider possibility. Please reach out to me directly if you have interest in that. And we can see if we can work something out. And to keep things moving along, I wanted to just recap. We had a road supervisors meeting on February 13th, and just to kind of keep some of that communication crossing over to the first elected officials here. We have no rate increase that was approved by the board this year, so the rates will remain the same for the use of the equipment within the region, the cargo equipment. We did have a discussion of the asset management that we have at the moment and potential sale of some of the underused or in some cases not used equipment. So we're going to continue to work on that angle to see if to make sure that we're using our equipment. If we're not, we're putting it somewhere where it's not sitting and collecting dust and not and losing value. Other areas of improvement, Gene's been working on improving our form for the use of the equipment, making it digital so it's much more comprehensive, and we can start to use it for data collection purposes, which would be good for basically our capital improvement planning for this program. The fiscal year 23 year-end audit is on its second extension, which is basically the last extension. We expect that to be delivered to us in the next well, hopefully the next 10 to 14 days. And then once we have that, we will send that out for your review and hopefully have this on the agenda for April. Two other things I don't have on the agenda that came in, one thing that came in very recently within the last few days is we, as a COG have, and without getting into all the details, the Rural Independent Transportation System, the RITS program that provides our rides for our elderly and disabled to get to medical appointments. That funding for that program, the program has done very, very well from when it started 5 or 6 years ago, from a very small amount of seed money. It has grown and it's been very valuable. And we have been trying desperately to try to keep that program funded and to keep up with demand. And some of that money has been hard to come by, and we had a gap in funding. And we, as a COG, specifically Leo and Casey, working with our partners at DOT, applied for congressionally directed spending in the amount of $92,000 to fill a funding gap that we identified to continue those services through the offices of Senator Murphy and Senator Blumenthal. And we just were awarded that $92,000 to fill that gap. So that's a big win for us. It's going to funnel through the DOT, and it's going to be very easy for us to manage. And what it does is it gets us to the finish line to continue this program. But we need to look at it from a longer term standpoint to make sure that we are still continuing to grow and meet the future demands of this. So very, very big win, and a very, very good news for us to continue that program without any disruption in service, because we were facing a major problem and we were about to have a discussion at this board level with that. But this was actually very welcome news and very, very perfect timing. So I wanted to share that. And then lastly, a plea for any future speaker requests. We try to fill the agendas with things that we might think are interesting and beneficial to you. But please, we would like to hear from you if there are topics or speakers or areas that you have interest in or a concern with. You want to hear from anybody from the state DOT specifically, or the state, anywhere else, the comptroller's office, anywhere. Any topic, please let us know so that we can start to kind of line those things up so that we can get that benefit, that value back to you so that you can hear what you need to hear and what you're interested in. So kind of a two-way street. We're trying to do our best, but we need to hear from you as well too. So with that said, I'll take any questions.
Okay. Rob, I know from my perspective, I always like hearing from the DOT guys about what their summer paving program is and what towns will be impacted, so that they know where the money is being distributed, whether they can have some expectation of some needed repairs in their area. So to have guys from the District 4, I guess, come over and talk to us about how they see their summer work impacting us would be helpful. Anybody else?
Yeah. Hey, Dan.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to ask Rob a question. Rob, household hazardous waste, are you going to be sending out the dates and applications so we could give them out? We're already taking phone calls from residents.
Yeah, the next event is, I think, June 8th. If I remember correctly, that's the actual date. So we were just actually in discussion with our vendor contact with Clean Harbors, and we're trying to set up a meeting, I think in the next few days, actually, to start to coordinate that. So you'll be hearing from us very shortly on that.
Thank you, Rob.
You got it.
Fantastic. Staying on track, everybody. So our next speaker, Kristen Levesque, is going to be late attending today after 10:30. So we're going to have to move forward with Weston Meehan for a little discussion about cybersecurity. Weston?
Awesome. Yes, sir. How's it going, everybody? I'm actually in my home office here in Goshen, Connecticut. So a little bit of skin in the game there.
There you go.
Yeah. Awesome. So let me just share my screen.
So just to give a 30-second intro to Weston and his team that's here today, we had had discussions with a couple of towns about cybersecurity training, specifically to email phishing, because we all know that that's the primary way that the bad actors get into our systems. And talking with the advanced IT team that we have access to here, They put us in contact with the folks at EBM, and we started talking about this product called Know Before, which is a best-in-class product to train and report through that via email phishing training. I guess that's the best way to say it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Back over to you, Weston.
Awesome. Yeah, no worries. Thanks for that intro, Jean. No, this is a great opportunity for us partnering with the Northwest Hills Council of Government. So yeah, so we're going to talk about Know Before. Before we get going, yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about. Here we go. Yeah, so the company I work for is Executive Business Machines, or EBM. So we're an IT solutions provider here in Trumbull. Basically, yeah, so basically second generation, we're family owned. Like I said, we're as local as we can get. And we're about 52 years in business. Quick rundown of the stuff that we do. As you can see here on the screen, I'm not going to go through each one just for sake of time, but basically if it connects to your network, we're going to be able to procure it, manage it, support it, and secure it. So easy way to yeah, so I just want to start off with this quote here. This is from Lance Wright's book, People, Risk, and Security. Basically, people may be your greatest asset, but they can also be your biggest liability. They expose you to all sorts of risks from things they can do or fail to do, and from things that can be done to them. So that book is a little bit more about how security, risk, and HR management are confluencing into one intersection, into the day-to-day. So first off, I'm pretty sure as everyone's heard of it, but not sure if you've seen it spelled like this. What is phishing exactly, and what does it have to do with today? So attackers nowadays will send you fake emails. They'll make fake domains, fake email addresses. And really the goal is to just try to get you to go to a landing page or download something to put on your entire network or your system, so then they can either get access to all the pertinent information that you have within, or really most commonly try to get you to send a wire transfer or someone, so most of the time you see people in accounts payable and things of that nature as well, getting kind of pushed in that particular direction. So I'll kind of start here. These are a couple of examples of what that might look like. You can see it's very highly deceptive. There's logos, there's, important information, buzzwords that can really trigger that emotion to click on those particular types of links. And I know that we're talking, I know the size of the towns, I know the head counts, but no one's really immune. This is actually a first select woman in Connecticut. I've redacted all the pertinent information, but this is actually one of the ones that was recently sent out, and I'm not 100% sure if the link was clicked or not. It's not important, but no one's really immune to it. So as you know, as far as the businesses are concerned and the towns, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So I'm going to be presenting Know Before. So Know Before so what they do, it's a phishing campaigns as well as cybersecurity awareness training. So how do we figure out who really needs to move in that direction, and who needs to really get their cybersecurity posture and make sure that they're always cognizant that these attackers are out there, and understanding when these emails are coming in, what that particularly looks like. So yeah, so this is what we can do here at EBM is we send out phishing campaigns. We send out fake phishing emails, and if you get clicked on it, you're caught up and that gets reported. So maybe you just need a little bit more time and care, and a little bit more training and understanding what these things are and how they look. So yeah, these are the different campaigns. Like I said, Know Before is the industry leader in this particular one. So they're always coming out with phishing campaigns and deceptive emails that can easily be dispersed, dispersed at a click of a button. Different reporting that we would be able to put together for the town as well. is, who's clicking on what training is happening, what's your posture look like, what's your organizational score, as far as, are you a risk, or is this organization at a risk? Is people clicking on things at an extended rate, or maybe the trainings aren't just getting done, things of that nature as well. We can even do what's called a SAPA, which is a security awareness. It's basically a baseline.
Efficiency assessment.
Yeah, it's an assessment in regards to your baseline knowledge, kind of starting everybody and understanding kind of where they're at as far as their cybersecurity knowledge, what they should be looking for, and then kind of starting from there. So everyone also is allocated a personal risk score, as well as, which one of your individuals are at a higher risk of clicking on certain things, or more susceptible to the hackers. So I have that on there. And at the end of the day too, it's we know it's can be a little bit, sometimes cybersecurity can be a little bit boring, or not necessarily as sexy as other things. But the great thing about KnowBe4 as well, when it comes to trainings, they're very interactive. They put it in a way that's very easy to understand, easy to follow, and easy to complete. All right. So at the end of the day too, I'm pretty sure everybody in their respective towns are also having to fill out these cybersecurity insurance policies. Just want to give you the heads up, if there's actually 15 other things that you have to follow as well, but this highlighted piece right here is employee awareness training. That's exactly what this solution is. It's making sure that making sure that all the employees are giving the information. There's no plausible deniability. Like, they need to know, hey, you're going to be liable if this stuff isn't necessarily taking place in the form of a hack, and making sure that those policies are paid out if a hack were to take place. So there's a little bit more about what we work together as far as the billing model for the Northwest Hills COG. So every town, for monthly, we'd be able to charge $2 per seat. There's a one-time onboarding cost, and then there's a one-time yearly option to be able to do 5 hours of level 2 support, which would include sending out the campaigns, initiating the campaigns, finding out who needs training, being able to do that on I think it's 12 campaigns on a includes 12 trainings, and then so that's once a month, and then 4 campaigns, which is on a quarterly basis, and you'll be able to do that one-time price fixed for the year. And then we'll also be able to onboard and offboard anybody as they'd be able to see fit as well. So all right, so yeah, as far as final thoughts are concerned, as far as this is concerned, as you saw that previous slide with the cyber insurance application, it's really one piece of the puzzle. It's one way to kind of I think it's awesome. It's a great way to get people in the right direction. What we do here at EBM is we'd be able to help you fill out the rest of that cybersecurity insurance form. It's, as of right now, your posture. This particular piece would be the steering wheel, and what we want is a full car, that type of thing. We want to give you let you know that what we do here at EBM, we'd be able to get you all the way to fully. So if that's something that you'd be open to discussing as well, it's something you can reach out to me directly, or go through Gene also. But yeah, that's what we'll be able to do here. We can start off with the KnowBe4 training, but also just keep a heads up. Like, we'd love the opportunity to be able to make sure that you're completely cyber resilient. So yeah, we have my CTO, my associate Dave here as well. Anything that I can't necessarily answer or anything like that, would be able to hope we have enough time for Q&A. I think that's just a little under 10 minutes. If anyone has any questions.
Great. Thanks, Weston. So just to sort of wrap up what you all would expect or see. EBM would handle all of this. They would handle the onboarding. So you wouldn't have to find somebody to deal with how to onboard a new tool. Your employees, everybody who has a domain name email address. So that's something important to remember. And your employees obviously should have domain name email addresses, but everyone with a domain name email address could be included in this training. And one of the things that I think Know Before brings is they are able to customize the training. So the training for the for a DPW clerk, for instance, is not going to be the same exact training as would be for your treasurer, because your treasurer's roles in finance and what they're doing on their computers is a much higher level. There's more risk there because they're dealing with finance and money. So the ability for them, and it's built into the tool, that customization I think is important, because if you had a clerk that had to do the same training as a finance person, you would lose that. That clerk would get the knowledge base is different. So being able to have it customized based on the role and the responsibilities in your town hall, I think is a big plus. Does anybody have any questions? And as we continue this discussion, we would come back next month. I'll probably be reaching out to everybody to see how many email addresses, how many employees they have, and if they would like to buy into this shared service, and we can work on the numbers as well.
Yeah, and again, hi guys, Dave French with EBM as well. I just want to mention, as Gina and both Weston mentioned, as you saw in the previous slide, as far as pricing, if you do happen to be fortunate to be in the position to have an IT staff in-house, we have the ability to provide you the tool, and the onboarding again is a cost that we have to get it set up and provision. But the other cost of having EBM manage this for you could be waived again if you're going to self-manage. So again, if you are fortunate enough to have an IT staff, we can provide admin credentials, and you're not limited to the 12 training campaigns and the 4 phishing campaigns a year that we would manage for you. You can do it as you wish. So that's kind of an option as well if you're again fortunate enough to have your own IT staff to be able to administer and manage it for yourself.
So for our newer members, some of which, maybe 7 have just recently been elected, and last term around, we had 7 new members join the COG. I think it's important for all of you to take a look back and see what your predecessors did in terms of threat assessment. A lot of us smaller don't have IT staff. We use outside consultants to work with our towns. I don't know what maybe Torrington, obviously, and Winchester being our larger municipalities probably do. But we've also talked about the National Guard cybersecurity team doing threat assessments for you, really at no charge. But how you go about training is an important part of how you administer your town. And if you do have questions, maybe you could get back with Gene if you want to call me, or maybe call some of our larger communities, Mayor Carbone or Mayor Archulaki, to just see how they do it, because there's no forgiveness in these ransomware and hacking situations. So you really need to know what your communities have done before you and what your liabilities are. So thanks for coming today, folks. Interested towns should reach out to Gene and Rob at the COG and do this. And you can't tell you, take it seriously, because these guys deal with a lot of stuff that you're hoping you don't have to deal with. So any last comments or questions from the group?
If I may, Dan.
Mayor Carbone, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I can tell you, in the city of Torrington, we do have a full staff, a full IT team. We have 3 employees. Actually, we have 4 employees in our IT department. And I can tell you from our experience, yes, we were hacked in 2020. If you thought the pandemic was scary, wait until you get that happening in your city. a real, very difficult. It was a very stressful time. I know that all of the measures that we put into place after that hacking are, I would consider to be state of the art. And as small towns, I know that you don't have the luxury of having a full department, but I highly encourage everybody to be very serious about what are you doing with regard to protecting yourself and making sure that your employees are not clicking the wrong email, because ultimately that was how we got hacked.
Yeah, and I'll just follow up with the mayor's comments. It's getting very, very difficult now to really distinguish what, and it used to be easy to kind of spot it, and it's getting really hard, really quickly. One particular COG that will remain nameless was a victim of a phishing attack, and they fell victim, and they are no longer able to secure cybersecurity insurance. They can't find an insurer any longer, and they're paying the extra money now for higher level IT defense. So no one's immune. It's very difficult.
Fantastic. Well, like I said, let's keep the ball rolling here. Thanks for your time, Weston, today, and Mr. French. Appreciate you coming. Do we have?
Right.
Do we
And
see?
Kristen is in the meeting.
Fantastic. So we have Kristen Levesque from Condot here to give us a little information on our Safe Routes to School program. Kristen, I can't see you there. Oh, there you are.
Morning. How are you?
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm here to talk about Safe Routes to School. I have a little bit of a presentation, if I can share. Hopefully be able to.
Yep,
Okay.
it's open.
Okay.
Is that showing up?
There you are.
Okay. Okay. So as you mentioned, I'm Kristen Levesque. I'm here from the Connecticut Department of Transportation Safe Routes to School program. And what we're taking a look at here is one of our events, one of our encouragement events that we'd hope to be able to see in all of our municipalities. It may harken back to a time when, if you think back to when you were a child, did you walk, bike, take the bus? Were you dropped off at school? Think about your own family, and if you're a caregiver or a parent, how the children in your care get to school. And if they do arrive at school after walking and biking, is everybody as excited as is to see them? So we're thinking about how to encourage more students to walk, bike, and roll to school. And we're able to provide that through our Safe Routes to School program. Started back in 2005, fully federally funded. Many municipalities took advantage of the infrastructure funding that was available, as well as the non-infrastructure program. So in 2021, we were reauthorized under IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and the program was expanded to include all schools K through 12. The Connecticut is one of the many states who took advantage of the reauthorization and revitalized the non-infrastructure program. So that's what I'm here to talk about today. The non-infrastructure program is comprised of the 6 E's. Equity, education, encouragement, and evaluation are all part of these non-infrastructure activities. The enforcement and engineering are the other 2 E's of the program that comprise the infrastructure pieces. So to date, okay, you hopefully see that. To date, our equity efforts include involving all schools across the state, reviewing areas of need, increasing GIS-based mapping efforts, and coordination of contacts through outreach events. Education, we have efforts that include involving, again, all schools across the state and incorporating the education components in the schools. We found to be the most equitable way to do that. We have education resources available to implement bicycle and pedestrian safety curriculum. And we also are working with the Vision Zero Council in response to new legislation that to allow for a new Vision Zero Program Distinction Award. Encouragement. Just like you saw in that first photo, encouragement really involves our events. Twice a year, we have our Fall Walk Enrolled School Day, and we had a record 38 participants this year. This spring, our next event is May 8th, and we're looking to kind of break previous records and have as many schools involved as possible in our events. We're able to provide outreach to community groups. We are able to provide community presentations and take a look at how to get more involvement in our encouragement activities. Again, like I mentioned, our next event is May 8th, and registration for that event is open and available on our website. And evaluation. This has included data collection, consultation with schools and the local traffic authority. And we've completed 3 walk audits this year as part of our new program that are all based in GIS mapping technology. These evaluation components include, like I said, mentioned the walk audits, which would be all stakeholders involved in the school community, all stakeholders involved in the municipality, and really a way to bring together both of those pieces to be able to take a look at the school site in particular. Our evaluation component also includes a higher level Safe Routes to School action plan opportunity, which would be able to take a look at all the schools in the district and kind of be able to make recommendations based on existing plans, based on comments, feedback, and site reviews. So Safe Routes to School team is looking to use this GIS mapping technology and story maps to outline observations, assessment, and recommendations to be able to provide recommendations for enforcement and engineering. We found that communities are pleased to be able to have these recommendations documented when they go to apply for further funding for grants with the state, like the CCGP program, or federal funding opportunities like transportation alternatives. So this documentation gives you the opportunity to do that. We also have our new active transportation micro grant program, which you may have heard about. And our active transportation micro grants is available up to $5,000 maximum per applicant twice a year. The intended grant recipients would be municipalities, schools, school districts, or nonprofits. And the eligible expenses would be safety and maintenance items, training, bicycle fleets for schools, a lot of things to be able to support our encouragement activities, as well as our education components of our program. And I'm here to answer any questions about that as well. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. Be able to talk about any of the components of the program that you might be interested in.
All right, folks, questions?
A question, this is Denise. A question I might have is, it seems like in Litchfield, a lot of parents like to drive their kids to school. It's like the extra time they have with them. Has that been a hurdle that parents maybe don't want their kids walking or biking to school?
I'm glad you mentioned, spending the extra time with their child too, because it also, we try to promote the ability to do that with walking and biking as well. And that's where those events, the encouragement events, can really be helpful, because it gives everybody an opportunity to kind of see what's possible. And committing to, maybe one day or twice a year it becomes less of a barrier than, I have to do this every day, right? So we really try to encourage those events, and we're available to help support the events in the community. We have resources to be able to kind of provide. We do a little bit of data collection. We really kind of are there to encourage. We have some incentives. So we're here to be able to do that. But that's a great question, because it does take we're finding a little, maybe sometimes an incremental approach, right? So the events really do kind of help people see what's possible.
Dave Barger from Canaan. Thank you. Talk to me a little bit about the bicycle fleets for schools. That's something I didn't see in that micro grant. Could you speak to that?
Sure. The micro grant has eligibility for rental of bicycle fleets. Bike Walk CT has it isn't one of our known resources that has that availability, as well as we've found out that bike shops and things like that have that availability for the rental of bicycle fleets as well. Some schools have decided to kind of start building up their own bicycle fleet too. So the resources are there within the Active Transportation Micro Grant. We're encouraging everyone to apply because really encouraging you to apply as soon as possible for a program that you might have in mind, and you'd apply directly to the COG.
Thank you.
Kristen, from what I'm hearing, and I don't know a lot about the program, I'm kind of jumping to a little bit of a conclusion here that a lot of the work that you do has to do with communities that have students and families that either walk to school or ride to school. And I think it's a safe bet here, like in New Hartford, I would venture to guess that probably 18 or 19 of the communities in our COG region are the same as New Hartford, where if I have 1% of my school enrollment walking to school, that would be a lot. And it's only because they live directly across the street from the school. But 99% plus are riding school buses every day. So can you tell me if there's a point in this program that helps 99% of my students who ride school buses to remotely located schools and how this would impact or help them?
That is a fantastic question, and one that we get quite a bit, right? Because all schools are in districts and municipalities are not created the same. And really, even though the name of the program is, Safe Routes to School, we're really encouraging that bicycle and pedestrian safety education in the schools for all students. So that can be done really on the school campus as part of a PE curriculum, maybe as part of the health curriculum. We've even seen it done as part of science, right? Like, so to be able to get the education components within the school curriculum, within the school day, to teach students about road safety, to teach them about becoming a safe pedestrian on the roadways, right? Preventing, really trying to get to that Vision Zero goal, preventing serious injuries. Trying to make sure that all students know how to ride a bicycle, know how to ride safely. We've found the research shows that it creates better drivers, right? So being able to kind of have those education pieces available in the schools, we're looking to be able to promote that, especially in places where the students may not be riding to school, but they may be riding in their neighborhood. They're going to be walking in other places within town, or when they go to visit other towns, cities, that kind of thing. So making sure we're kind of getting those education components in the schools. And as far as the events, there are opportunities to do remote drop-off type events where the students all kind of ride together along with parents, maybe school staff and law enforcement. That is one opportunity we've seen. We've also seen events that happen on the school campus. So being able to kind of have students learn some of those skills and practice and celebrate walking and biking on the school campus. But excellent question, and kind of has come up quite a bit. So again, we're really trying to just encourage that education component.
Thank you. Other questions from our selectmen and mayors? All right, thanks for coming, Kristen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Could you leave your contact information in the chat?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Fantastic. So folks, if you're interested in pursuing more information from Kristen, she's going to leave her information for us. So I guess we're rolling into, where are we here? Jean, going to give a little touch on .gov domain names. Is that where we are?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Dan. So we've been engaging more with our team in-house with Ed Advance, who handles our IT, talking with the Region 5 Cybersecurity work group from Demis, talking with Demis folks, CISA folks, and we hear again and again and again one of the best things that you can do for your organization, for towns, is to register a .gov domain name. So we went and, sorry, I'm managing a lot of different screens here. We went through the process. So CISA suspended their .gov domain name registration process. It was a paper process, which was a little bit cumbersome. There was also a cost with it. I think it was $400 to register a .gov domain name. And there was just a lot of hoops you had to flow through. They have since revamped that. It's now an online portal. It is still a process, but it's a much more simplified process. So I went through it a couple of weeks ago to obtain the NHCOG CT.gov domain name. So we're just waiting to get the confirmation on that. But Rob and I and the team here talked about how could we help towns walk through that process, because I know you all are just flat out busy. Most of the smaller towns don't have dedicated IT folks. So what we'd like to do is offer to the towns that are not currently .gov domain names, which is 75% of our COG. So 21 towns. Of those 21 towns, only 23% actually have a .gov domain name. Most have a .org, a couple have a .us, which is doesn't meet that same cybersecurity protection level as a .gov. So we'd like to offer my help to walk through. I just need one contact person who can be the point person for a town, but we can take care of getting you registered. And this is that sort of first big step to move away from the .org, which is not a well-protected domain name nomenclature, to that .gov. So in 2021, there were 77 in Connecticut, 77 municipal cyber attacks and over 80 education institution attacks. And I wasn't able to find the total, but it was millions and millions of dollars. And as Mayor Carbone articulated earlier, it is no fun to go through a cyber attack. It's a life-changing event for any town. So if you would like to do that, by all means, raise your hand, send me an email, and we'll get you through that process quickly and easily. And it's now free, which is the other nice thing. So please let me know if you'd like to walk through that process, and I can help you.
Jean said free.
Sounds like free stuff. Probably not a bad idea. You know, about a quarter of our towns are .govs, and eventually it's going to do it. I know we did it when we updated and changed the admin on our website, and we kind of did it at the same time, about probably 3-4 years ago. But you know, if you're interested more, you know where Gene and Rob are, and roll back with them, and they will help you through that process. Okay.
And sorry, and I know we've given a lot of information, a lot of requests for feedback, and you need time to think about some of this. We are going to follow up with a post-meeting message to everybody to follow up with all of the requests that we're asking today. So, so that nothing slips.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're kind of staying on track here, and we're moving into item number 6, transportation planning, and we were going to do a little talk with our Litchfield DPW director, Roz Alexi, on roadway asset management systems. Is Roz with us? Ah, there you
right
are.
here, Chair.
Hey, thanks a lot. It's Dan. Okay, Roz.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me. And I'm just going to try just a few points to emphasize what we're using here. I'm by no means promoting the software. Just want to share with you what happened with us and the other towns that used it. I have a short presentation. I'm going to try to share my screen here, if I may. Let me know if you see it. Is it on?
Yes. Yep, you're good.
Great. Okay, so Roadsoft, 2019, the COG brings as a speaker one of the old timers in the area, principal at the former Leonard, current Haley Ward, Mr. David Batista, who at that time implemented the software, helped Goshen and Winchester to have it. I got interested as the price tag was excellent. I look at that the first thing before I dug my heels into the rest of the problem. So that was a $6,000, which is still the onboarding fee. I like to say, well, that's the money to buy it. But anyhow, so we got into that, and it took us a year to put together the information. So basically what happened is we had Roadsoft, which is a software created by students at the Michigan Technical University in the Upper Peninsula, and became the standard for the state of Michigan, which is remarkable. We had this implemented in Litchfield, and we created a 30-year road program for asphalt roads, 100 miles, and a 10-year unimproved roads for the 20 miles of unimproved roads. And so far, so good. But there are certain things to know about it. And again, the price tag being so low is very interesting, as everybody else was bombarding with a lot of this high level, sophisticated machinery that would have a price tag anywhere between 30 and 50,000 right up front. So the main difference is that Roadsoft is basically an asset management that collects the data from the roads. It's a visual tool, and it's a combination of a database that you create overlapping into the GIS system of the town. So what's happening basically, it has many layers. I'm solely using roads, but the rest of the modules are really interesting to see and evaluate. It's just we don't have the time to look into the others. So barely we have the time for the roads here. So basically what it does, you look at the physical features of the road, and based on experience, historical data, you correlate those conditions and distressed pavements, and you put it into this database, and you start creating this, and automatically it gives you information, reports, and recommendations. The system is called PASER, which stands for Pavement Surface Evaluation and Rating System. And this is the key element that makes the difference between Roadsoft and all the others, or the majority of the software out there, which are a PCI based system, which is a pavement condition index. That's what's used. I think DOT uses PCI because it's associated with a standard, the ASTM standard, the Standards for Society for Testing and Materials, which is very strict. And that's a 0 to 100. So how are you going to say that it's a 56 on a scale of 0 to 100? Well, it has a lot of input and sophisticated information, depth and boreholes and soils and everything else. But if you're a local person and you know what happened with that road in time, and you kind of have some knowledge about the soils, with this visual tool, you can assess it with a precision of 80 to 90%. And you pay a fraction of that money, and you're not tied to an ASTM standard, which imposes certain rules. So what we did, we took a look at it. We did an inventory of each road. It's a Windows interface. It's not as user-friendly as it looks. Just click on a pull-down menu or things and say, oh, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. You need training. Training is free, and it's very accessible from the Institute. You can do it at your own pace, or you can get into groups. So we took our time. It took about up to 2 years to start learning this software, to the extent that we can implement every year and update the roads, whatever we chip seal, crack seal, asphalt, and we put it in and updates the condition of the road. So this PASER system is basically a 0 to 10. We started at a level of 5.2, 5.3 in Litchfield. And after 4 years now, we're at about 7.1. And it comes with a price, of course, internally, so budget-wise. By doing all these pavement treatments that you got to do it, every few years, you do the asphalt, whatever it is, either it's a mill and overlay or a seal it, chip seal or crack seal, or you do a fog sealing, then you have to maintain it, keep it up. So whatever we did 4 years ago, we're in the 5th year. Now we have to do rejuvenate the system with something. You got to do it. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to maintain it. We all know it comes with a price. So this PASER system, it's just this visual thing, and it gives you a good feeling about the assessment, in a sense that you can put in a category, and automatically the software, it's going to upgrade you with qualitative and quantitative parameters to bring you to the next level and give you an updated response to what improvements you made. So we did all the treatments. We looked at it. We were behind if we didn't do anything with our roads. Let's say we don't make improvements as we should, we're at about negative 71 million. So we said, what would it take each year? We did an assessment through the software to get to a level. We started, as you see on the left-hand side of the graph here on the y-axis, we started at 5.3, and we wanted to be in a relatively short period of time to a minimum 7 to an 8. Well, we're in a 5th year. We chose the 1.5 million a year, bonded or not, depending on the resource of the town. That is, let's see it here. That's the dotted, the blue dotted, if you have the same color on the screen, the 4th one from the top. We put 1.5 million a year. We're in our 5th year in 2024 here, and we're already at a 7.2 rating. So it's about, you put some money into it, but you're based on the software, which is going to tell you which roads should be approached first, and you're going to get the results. Again, it worked for us. There are certain alternatives, like you can do, you know, what City of Torrington, for example, did, get a big chunk of money, and you can get to that level much faster, or you don't do anything, and you can see here from the deterioration curve that it's going to get you really low, and you're going to lose the road basically at a Pacer level of 1. In a nutshell, folks, Roadsoft, it's not the ultimate solution because it's not that easy to understand and use. However, you put a little bit of time into training, you're going to save a lot of money versus other companies, in my opinion, that come with these sophisticated minivans that have audio system, they have penetration probes and everything else that is going to give you a very, very sophisticated approach, but you're going to be boxed in with certain treatments. Otherwise, they're going to say you can't achieve a certain level and improvements as you're expecting. Goshen, after 4 years, is still seeking the optimum level. In my opinion, they've been trying very hard. Garrett, my counterpart there, is doing a fabulous job, but I guess it takes more time. And Jimmy Rollins in Winchester, again, fantastic fellow, has been working very hard. It's just he's not too happy as the tool. He believes it's hard to manage and you know, continue. But at $6,000 and yearly you know, update with the software and free training of $1,000 a year, I thought it was a good deal for us. It worked. I took the opportunity to do this presentation simply because we all know that our infrastructure is one of the heavy hitters in the budget. So trying to find ways not to spend that much money into these layers that would produce documentation and reporting that we can rely on and grow into the future. So it's a long-term program to implement, but at least you have some tools to manage it. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions from our members?
Don't anybody think about taking Raz. That's all I got to say from Litchfield. He's the best.
That was my bonus.
He's
Thank
the
you.
best.
Well, you know, I took a second because I fell on the floor when I heard 1.5 million in paving, and I was envious because you're 3x on me. Roz, what were you, when you went into the program 6 years ago, what were you at in terms of?
I would say anywhere from 300 to 700,000. As we had a lot of failing bridges, so the emphasis was on bridges. I managed from 2015 to 2020 until I started to get a little bit of a change that was left over. And I took all advantage of the 80-20. I had the staffing to do all those bridges. We did 27 bridges in 5 years. So I didn't have to worry about the bridges. So all the money went into roads.
Yeah. Can you tell our membership how many, repeat how many paved road miles you have?
100 miles of
100.
paved roads.
So you're probably one of the outside of Mayor Carbone and Mayor Archulaki, Winston. I don't know if many towns have that many miles. I know I'm at about 75 with 10 unimproved. Mayor
Yes, we have
Carbone,
20 unimproved.
how many road miles do you have, Mayor?
Yeah, we have 160 road miles. And I just want to clarify when Raz says we got a big chunk of money, we bonded $40 million to do road work. We did that in 2018. And of course, you can't do that many roads, certainly $40 million worth of roads, you know, in a short period of time. So over the past 6 years, we've been doing this road work. And for decades. I went back to the 70s, and historically, we never funded road projects properly, and never graded our roads. So as you heard, you get that baseline, you know, what condition is the road in? You grade that on the PCI index. And then you map that out. Yeah, we were in a heap of trouble with our roads, which is why I did have to bond. But it's a great program. You know, we've been doing ours in-house. You know, we do it ourselves with our engineers that go out and do these inspections. But yeah, I know that we're all up against it when it comes to road work.
Right. Well, if anybody has the opportunity to double your paving budget, you could solve a lot of problems in your infrastructure. There's no doubt about it. We're all doing it. I know that I went to our Board of Finance last year, asked for a 10% increase, and I was given that money, and then was happy or you know, surprised to see that it barely covered the cost of the COLA of the paving last year. So I basically got the same or a little bit of less paving done last year because the cost of paving actually went up. So it can be a delicate balance, but money does solve a lot of problems. And for those of you, Raz, if you leave your information in the chat, those that are interested in pursuing the software information, Raz can get with you offline. Thank you for coming in. And Denise, thanks.
Can I ask a question?
Raz.
May I ask a question?
Yes, your name is?
Hi, I'm Lynn Kircher from Sharon. I'm a new select person.
Hi, Lynn.
And I just have a question about the software. Is there a tab? I couldn't tell by your screen. Is there a tab where you can add environmental concerns? So we're out looking at a road, there's a culvert, we see that there's spotted salamander that have nested. Is there a section that you can add various environmental notes to, so that you could produce a report that would give you not only, you know, the road structure and how much you're paying and when you've paved it, but
Yes.
excuse me.
No, that's quite all right. The short answer is there are several inputs that give information on environmentally sensitive areas. There's no database linked with the NDDB or, you know, to retrieve information for a species, but you can input in commentaries and you can show, and when it's reporting for the road, it will show the specific culvert or area of interest that will be flagged. So, you know, that's how it basically captures the information you're inputting. So it's more of a commentary thing than a pull-down menu on environmental, but it has information that is input for the environmental sensitive areas, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just a point of clarification, you know, again, we'll follow up from this meeting because I know we're under a time constraint, but you know, this is something we're trying to explore if there's interest in the region for this. So we can, you know, anybody who has interest in this, you know, reach out to us. We will coordinate, specifically Casey with transportation, and we'll coordinate and maybe work with Raz here and see what we can drum up. I mean, this is something that would be a regional application in order to make sense.
There's one more secret associated with this, if I may, and with this I'll leave, Dan. I had the benefit of using, that was a one-time deal. I couldn't do that since, for whatever reasons. I had an intern for 3.5 months, a lady intern. She was at RPI. She was in undergraduate studies, excuse me. And she worked for about 2 weeks to get trained on the software. She did it on herself. She was driven. And then the rest of the 3 months, she helped us produce the data entry, but also produce reports, analyze them, and be very conversational with us, with me, David Batista, and a crew leader that was involved in the assessment to finesse this program and input. So there was time and effort put into it without any doubt. So that is why probably I suspect that maybe Goshen and Winchester were having some issues, and they didn't have the extra help other than David Batista, who's exceptional. It's just that it was a day in, day out that we had that benefit.
Anyway, thank you. Lynn, welcome. I'm sorry, first time meeting.
Thank
I didn't
you.
recognize you.
Thank you.
Welcome to our meeting. Appreciate your attending. Rob, do we have Casey with us to move forward in our item B for
Yes.
STIP amendments?
Thank you, Dan. Yes, this is an amendment that will provide construction funds that will repair steel beam ends for 4 of the bridges, one of which is located in our region in North Canaan. So I'm seeking the board for their approval.
Okay, does anybody want to move the STIP amendment to help out our friends in North Canaan?
So moved. Doug Thompson, Burlington.
Thanks, Doug. Is there a second?
I'll second that from Falls Village.
Dave? All right, appreciate it. Yeah, it always makes it easier when you sound out your name and where you're from, so we can move these forwards. Any further discussion on the STIP amendment? All in favor, why don't you use the raise hand icon so they have some level of record in the video and could see who voted for what. Is there anybody opposed to the STIP amendment? Anybody abstaining? We take it by the lack of conversation that we're approving this. Okay, so moving forward, I believe we're moving on to number 7 with Rista on our CEDS update. Rista, there you are.
Hello.
Good
I,
morning.
I'm in Hartford at Goodwin Hotel for a Connecticut Main Street conference today. I was a panel speaker this morning, so sorry I'm not there and I don't have the ability to share my screen, but Rob can pull up the draft CEDS if there's any questions that we want to address. Basically, you know, I've shared the CEDS plan with you many times. We've discussed it. We did have the public comment period. There were some relatively minor changes, mainly formatting, editing type of thing. The biggest change is in the tasks. We added a potential primary funding source and a potential lead stakeholder. Those are requirements from EDA, but also the steering committee was really pushing that we identified that for each task, not just for the goal in general. Some of the numbers are very large numbers. Some of them are relatively small. It's intended that this plan is a regional plan. It's not a plan strictly for the COG board or strictly for the Northwest EDC to implement. It's intended to leverage private development, and a lot of those numbers that you will see include private development numbers, grants, you know, a variety of different capital stack that might be used. It's also over a 5-year period, so there may be multiple projects within each. My intention was to have this be more of a broad plan than we had in the past, to incorporate more stakeholders and more programming and projects, and not just what the COG or the EDC will be focused on. The 5 major tasks revolve around housing, workforce development, creating a business-friendly environment, supporting tourism, and also supporting our creative economies. You know, creating a business environment and supporting the creative economies. Originally, we had talked about those kind of being under the same task, but the way it evolved, it really made sense to make them 2 different tasks. So yesterday, the Northwest EDC did meet and did endorse the plan with a few minor changes that I did send out yesterday. So with that, I'll stop talking and answer any questions you have. And I would request that if the board is in agreement, that we make a motion to adopt the plan. Once the plan is adopted, I will send to EDA for their final approval, and that will leverage us to be invited for our 3rd year planning partnership money, which we're expecting to be $60,000.
Okay. The members were sent the draft from Rista. Did everybody have the opportunity to peruse?
Mhm.
Did anybody have any suggestions? Considerations? Any comments?
This is just Denise. Rissa, excellent job on all that you put together and the time that you dedicated to. I would just make sure that all the photos, which I think was mentioned yesterday, are very clear. Some, because they were expanded, are kind of, it's a minor detail, but it's just something that I think just will make it look more professional and sharp if the pictures are sharp as well.
Thanks, Denise.
But great job.
Yeah. You really turned this around very quickly, Rista. I mean, obviously put a lot of energy into it quickly, coming into our organization and making this a priority. Is there a motion to adopt the comprehensive economic development strategy as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Patrick from
I'll second.
Patrick from Roxbury.
Roxbury. Is there
I'll second it. Todd Kearsall from Goshen.
Fantastic. Any further comments? All right. Why don't we just use the reactions button or the raise hand to show all in favor? Okay. Is there anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay.
Great, thank you.
There was a hand raised.
I abstain only because I'm not up to speed, but I see that Casey Flanagan voted yes, so.
Right.
You don't need to vote.
Yeah.
Oh,
Each
good.
town only gets one vote anyway, Lynn.
Okay,
So,
good. Thank you.
Rob and Jean and the folks in the home office are keeping track of us. So I'm assuming that Rista, you're successful. You got approval here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm logging off. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so next up, we have number 8. Leo is going to give us an update.
Thanks, Dan.
Leo?
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to give you all a quick update on the Regional Opioid Response Fund. We do have 11 participating towns. I'll just list them quickly: Barkhamsted, Canaan, Colebrook, Heartland, Kent, Litchfield, Morris, Norfolk, North Canaan, Warren, and Washington. Noting that Litchfield and North Canaan have chosen to participate partially. So the other towns to this point have given us all of their national opioid settlement funds that they've received to date for a total of $62,924. There was an attachment included with the agenda package, attachment D, that lays out each of the settlements by town and what those payment schedules and allocations are. So if you have any interest in looking at what your town is slated to get moving forward, feel free to look at that. I'd like to mention that NHCOG and our RORF, as we affectionately refer to it as, were recognized in the Connecticut Examiner, as well as the Connecticut Mirror, and via a podcast with WSHU. And we've received kudos from the Commissioner of Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services for our regional collaboration. We've also been named as a model for what DEMIS would like to see other small towns in the state do moving forward, knowing that many of the small towns received very small allocations. So to date, the amounts that have been paid out are from the distributor settlement and the Janssen settlement. Distributors have paid years 1 through 3. Janssen has paid years 1 through 5. And the Janssen settlement will have 11 total payments, which includes those already paid. Distributors will have 18 payments, and those payments extend year to year. So each payment, so you'll be getting paid for 18 years from the distributor settlement. The projects that we have pursued so far are leave behind kits to be provided to our local ambulance crews so that they can provide these leave behind kits when they respond to a suspected overdose. The leave behind kits include instruction cards, connection cards for resources, Narcan, as well as a couple of other items. And the other project that we pursued was providing 12 months worth of harm reduction supplies to the Litchfield County Opiate Task Force. And with this funding from the RORF, LCOTF was actually able to purchase supplies that they had not been able to get before from the Department of Public Health or otherwise, which mainly focused on the wound treatment for xylazine wounds. So there were a couple of things that they were able to purchase that help with this wound treatment. And they received great feedback from some individuals who were able to get access to this. So our remaining funds are $26,896 from that original 62 and change. We have been in discussion about upcoming projects for fiscal year 25. And I intend to send out annual appeal letters to all of the towns, not just the current participating towns. So you can expect to see that appeal letter coming out probably in April. And that will cover the 3 settlements, which also include Walgreens, Walmart, CVS. So there are 3 settlement buckets. There's Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, there's Janssen, and there's distributors, and they're all paid on separate schedules. So if you want any more information, I'm happy to get into more detail with you one-on-one. But that's it for me.
Thanks, Leo. Yeah, it's one of those things that came about quickly, and all of a sudden you have this revenue coming in. It's kind of like the NIP revenue, and if you're not taking steps if you're a statutory town and you have to make steps to spend this money, you have to make sure you're equipped at your annual town meeting to get the authority, because otherwise, if it's not in your budget, it's kind of hard to move the money. But anyway, Leo, good job on that, and great job by the towns that are participating. I know everybody has a plan of how they're trying to deal with this, but it's certainly money that's helping the cause, and there's far more of this problem in our 21 towns than we care to see. It's striking when Leo starts talking about what happens in the towns.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Just tell anybody, if you want to know what's really going on, meet with the director of your local ambulance, and they'll tell you. They won't give you the names and the spots, but they'll tell you the numbers, and it can be really, really striking. So,
thank you.
Moving forward, John Field. Is John with us?
I don't see him on the call.
Yeah, he supplied a written report in the event he's unable to attend the meetings. I think he's trying to do that moving forward. So if he's not here, then that's what came up. But the written report is, and it's not in the packet, but I did attach it to the meeting invite because it didn't make it into the packet when I realized it was in my email queue.
Yep, I got the letter. It's about 2.5 pages. Selectmen and mayors, please give that a read when you get a chance, and let's keep on track for our administrative items. Rob, you want to run through those?
Yeah, the meeting minutes obviously is ready for action with under A. B would be the monthly financial statement. Again, that's ongoing, trying to fit a round peg through a square hole until we get to the next fiscal year. Then C, D, and E are correspondence letters of support for the recreational trails grant program that comes along annually. Obviously the time is of the essence, so we as a COG generally fire those off so they can meet their deadlines, and it doesn't always line up before we have a meeting. So we go ahead and graciously assume your support of those, and we offer those letters of support and then put them on as correspondence for you at your next meeting. And this is exactly what happened with this round as well too. So again, those are from Steep Rock Association, Town of Burlington, and the Northwest Connecticut Land Conservancy for their individual projects. So really the first 2 items are actionable items. The last 3 are just correspondence.
Okay.
I move the approval of the minutes, Curtis Rand, of February 7th.
I'll second that. This is Denise Litchfield.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? All in favor? Everybody just want to use your reactions, get them on the record.
We can, if that's okay.
Anybody opposed?
Sorry.
Let's assume that those went through. Anybody who wants to abstain?
First and second. Approval.
Hang out. Anybody want to move the financial statements?
So moved, Todd Winchester.
Thanks,
Second,
Scott.
second, Dave Keenan.
Gainen. Any other discussion? Let's just record our votes in the by raising our hands or reaction.
Who seconded that?
Dave? Gainen? Is there anybody opposed? Hearing none. Any abstentions? Moving forward.
So, if I could just jump in, right before we enter the next agenda item, there was one that I didn't add on the agenda. We had a late addition with CPRG, the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant Program. We have Gene, if you wanted to just mention this real quick.
Yeah.
First in memory.
So without getting too complicated, which the grant is, we're part of a state pass-through, but we're also collaborating with a number of other COGs in order to take advantage of some additional funding. And this is all to reduce greenhouse gases. So there's a couple of projects that we would be able to have access to once that state money comes through on behalf of the towns, and then also this collaborative. It's mostly, so we're looking at some solar panel projects for public housing authorities. We're looking at consultant hiring for climate-friendly regulations. There's microtransit money. There's a lot of different monies, and the turnaround time on the plans, the applications that we're required to get in is very quick. The initial application was due the end of March, and the implementation application is due on April 1st. So I've been on many meetings a week with the other COGs trying to get our applications in, and we're at the point where we need some letters of support. So if we can add that into the list.
It's basically just general support. There's no financial ties to our region. And no strings attached, so to speak. We're just trying to basically be a supporting agency for those applications that are on the federal level, and to try to be a player in the game, with that, to kind of keep this as a concise, this is a very long story is what it comes down to, so.
Well, before we get into that, why don't we entertain a motion to endorse the 3 letters to help these 3 communities with a recreational trail grant? So it's in our minutes that we as a group support the regional trail efforts of these people. No, I know Rob and the things are writing these letters, but it's always helpful to have a motion in the record that we're supporting. What was it? Steep Rock, the Farmington River Trail, and the third
NCLC.
Anybody want to move the endorsement of those 3 so we have
So
something
moved.
in our records?
Todd from Goshen.
Second.
Todd from
Greg from
Goshen.
Warren.
Greg from Warren. Any further discussion? Obviously, we're a big hiking and biking area. All in favor? Let's just use our, once again, things. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? I'm not hearing anything, so I'm assuming that we're, again, approved and endorsing those applications.
Quick thank you to everyone from the town of Burlington.
Yeah. Nice trail you got over there, Doug. Anyway, so are you you're applying for these grants, there's no financial impact. Maybe we could include it. Is there any objection to Rob and the COG staff working these applications? Of course, you apply for a grant, there's nothing that's obligating the membership. We can consider any actionable items in
And we're not actually applying ourselves. The state is applying. We're actually and some COGs are applying that are eligible. We're not eligible. We're only eligible under the state or as a partner as another COG. So we're not doing anything other than just supporting. And so we're just trying to get access to those funds if they're awarded.
So are you looking for a motion, Rob, or not?
Yeah, I think so, right, Dean?
Yeah, and it would be to support the CPRG implementation grant application.
Would anybody like to move that motion as Jean just so skillfully described?
Curtis Randwell.
Thank you. Curtis from Salisbury. Is there a second?
Second.
Todd from Goshen. Is there any further discussion? If not, let's just use our things, record our votes. Is there anybody opposed or abstaining? The habit being, it looks like things are going through quite easily today. Okay, 11:21, folks. I like the timeline. All right, so we don't have last chance for John Field. Last chance, no. Okay, so with that, we've completed our agenda. I would entertain a motion from the membership to enter executive session.
Just need to know who's gonna be invited from other than the board members. We're gonna have to end the recording, and then anybody who's not invited has to leave the meeting.
Okay. So Dave, were you making the motion? I see your hand up to enter executive session. Is that a motion? If not, I will. Dave is?
So
Is
moved.
there- All right. I think. Dave, were you making a motion or not?
That was a leftover raised hand, I think, Dan.
All right. So Todd made the motion. Is there a second to go into executive session?
I'll second. Todd Winchester.
Todd? Okay, so at this point, Rob, I'd ask you to end the recording and put anybody who is not a voting member of this organization into the waiting room.
Should we vote?
Thank you. Yeah,
Sorry.
all in favor? We will just do that.
All right, so if anybody who's not voting member, we either have to go to the waiting room or you are welcome to.
Does anybody want to?
We have nobody in
Make
the
a
waiting
motion
room.
to exit executive session, Burlington.
All right.
I'll second. Todd Winchester.
I don't know that technically you need to vote to leave an executive session, but is there our agenda is completed. Please, for the record, show that no action is being taken on our executive session item. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
I'll
moved.
make that motion.
Second, Greg and Warren.
You folks catch who made that? All in favor? We'll see y'all next time.
Take care. Have a safe trip.
All righty. Thank you, everybody. Have
Thank you all.
have
Thanks,
a great
Dan.
weekend.